Hey guys, it's Max with GTN Official here, and today I'm reviewing the 2021 Mazda 3 Premium All-Wheel Drive Sedan. Starting off in the exterior of the vehicle, we can see that this vehicle features LED front headlights as well as LED turn signal lights on the mirrors. Featured on this premium trim of the Mazda 3 are 18-inch alloy wheels with 4-wheel disc brakes. Additionally, this trim of the Mazda 3 includes a lip spoiler on the trunk. Onto the back of the car, we can see LED taillights are present. We can also see the car's all-wheel drive and Sky Active badges, more on those later. This car does feature 2 exhaust tips on the rear, and here's what they sound like. The Mazda 3's 13.2 cubic feet of cargo space is slightly below average. However, it is more than spacious enough to fit myself inside. And if you need even more space, the rear seats feature 60/40 split folding, which can be controlled using the levers shown here. Like many other cars nowadays in the compact sedan segment, this car features proximity unlock, as shown here. Although Mazda's refusal to use CVTs results in better reliability, it unfortunately also results in worse gas mileage. 28 miles per gallon for the compact sedan segment is not great, although it is still more than enough to be considered a fuel-efficient car. Although its fuel efficiency isn't great for its class, fueling up the Mazda 3 is easy enough that you can open the gas tank with just a simple push. Most trims of the Mazda 3, including this one, feature one of Mazda's signature Sky Active inline 4s that makes 186 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. Mazda's Sky Active engines and transmissions are known for their reliability, as they refrain from using less reliable but more fuel-efficient CVT transmissions like most of their competitors. This particular engine feels great to drive, being one of the most responsive and powerful in its class. Moving on to the interior of the car, starting off with the door panel, we can see the lock and unlock buttons, as well as the power mirror adjustments, which do feature memory, and 4 auto up, auto down window switches. The door also features a sufficient amount of storage, including a small cup holder. On higher trims, such as the premium trim featured here, this car has an excellent Bose 12-speaker sound system, one of the best in its class. This Mazda 3 also leads the compact sedan class in seating, featuring an 8-way power-adjustable leather driver's seat with lumbar support. The interior of the Mazda 3 is quite spacious and features one of the biggest center consoles I've seen in a compact sedan, with this movable divider, as seen here. The Mazda 3 definitely doesn't skimp out on storage, featuring a roomy glove box, a storage compartment under the infotainment system, and a small storage compartment that can fit your keys under the memory seat controls. Moving back to the rear seats for a moment, we can see that the rear passengers don't get as much storage in the doors, with no cup holders included. The rear passengers do, however, get a fold-out armrest with cup holders, which makes up for their lack of inclusion on the doors.
Okay, so this rear seat legroom is adequate. For a compact car, it's totally fine. For anything bigger, it wouldn't be great, it would be a bit subpar. There is no rear seat pocket on this seat, it's only on the right seat for some reason. However, for a road trip, this will be a little bit cramped, but it will be okay. I would live with it. I can move my legs at 5'8", sitting behind myself, but it's not perfect.
Moving on to some features now, this trim of the Mazda 3 features a power tilting and telescoping sunroof with a sunshade. Over to the driver's seat, we have the gauge cluster, which has a physical tachometer, engine temperature meter, and gas meter. There's also a digital display in the middle of the gauge cluster that shows your speed, cruise control, various warnings, and other features. This trim of the Mazda 3 also features a heads-up display that shows your current speed and cruise control setting. Right here in the middle of the dashboard, you can see your dual-zone automatic climate controls as well as your heated seat controls. Your current climate settings appear on the display directly above the controls. The climate vent setup on this Mazda 3 is quite interesting, with 2 air vents for the driver and 2 for the passenger with a fake one in between. There are no rear climate vents on the Mazda 3, which isn't abnormal for a compact sedan. However, considering how nice the interior of this car is, I found myself expecting them to be present. Only a few more features to cover until we'll be driving the car, so let's start that up by using the push to start. Over on the left side of the dashboard, you have the buttons to turn off your traction control and driver assist features, as well as a button to open the trunk and the memory seat controls. Next up, we have the infotainment, which as you can see here is quite far away from the driver, and that's because it's not a touchscreen. The infotainment is actually controlled using the dial and buttons below the gear shifter. The buttons are the navigation button, back button, home button, and music button respectively. Mazda says this is the safest way to control an infotainment system because it keeps the driver's eyes on the road, and I fully agree. So here's the infotainment screen menu, and you can see there's a lot of options here. This trim of the Mazda 3 does come with navigation. It also has satellite radio, Bluetooth connectivity, Apple CarPlay, and Android Auto. Although I personally prefer to use Apple CarPlay for my navigation, one major benefit to using the Mazda Connect navigation is that the directions show up on the heads-up display. But with that mentioned, let's get into using Apple CarPlay on this display. So as with the rest of the infotainment system, it is controlled with the rotary dial and buttons, but it can also be controlled for certain parts using steering wheel controls, such as by pressing the voice assistant button seen here.
Hey Siri, take me to McDonald's.
One possibility I see is...
And there isn't a whole lot to say here that's out of the ordinary. Other than the controls, it's just ordinary Apple CarPlay. The last thing I want to touch on before I move on to this car's driving experience is the materials used in this car. Nearly everything here is of superb quality, especially for a non-luxury compact sedan. Even at about $30,000, which is pricier than most of its competition, these materials outclass nearly any other car at this price point. Nearly everything is leather, and there's almost no exposed hard plastics. Alright, now with everything covered, let's take this for a drive.
Alright, so here's the Mazda 3 test drive. Let's get it on the road. Alright, so first thing I've noticed is this car is not slow, especially for a compact. It's actually faster than every other one in its class, and that's without the turbo that it has. You know, the Civic Si and the Civic Type R might be a little faster, maybe the Golf R, but those are $35,000, $40,000 cars, whereas this is a $30,000 car where its base engine all the way down to 22 grand is 186 horsepower, and this thing is not slow. And it feels incredibly nice too. You know, the handling on this is supposed to be absolutely incredible. I guess we're gonna put that to the test in a moment. We do have a sport mode here. I'm sure that just puts it in high revs, so it shifts late. But other than that, this car just feels excellent. It feels great. So on the road, it's smooth. Road noise isn't bad. Right now we're only going 35 though. Hopefully, you know, in a minute I can take it on a turn, get it some acceleration going. But let's see this car's handling. Mazdas are famous for their great handling, more than anything else. Alright, so I don't really have room to floor it, but I do have room to push it a little. So if I put this into sport mode, it's getting there, and this car, it really is handling these bumps like a champ. It has a firm suspension, but it still handles the bumps quite well. And let's see how it handles around corners. Gonna turn right again here. Let's put this in sport. You know, we got no one in front of us. Here's sport, and pedals to the metal.
Okay, it's 40 miles an hour around here.
50, 60. You know, this car 0 to 60 isn't slow. 8 seconds for this class is actually quite fast. The heads-up display is what I'm primarily looking at for my information right now, but I do actually really appreciate the physical tachometer that is here, because a lot of cars now, they're ditching those, and you know, you just can't beat physical in some areas. Like, I think the digital tachometers, sometimes they take too long to update, or they aren't well made, and they don't look good, and it just isn't nice. But next thing I'm gonna do is try radar cruise. So I'm putting that on right now, and we are set on radar cruise. Just gonna set the res at 45. We're gonna go to 40. This car will now keep the exact speed of the car in front of me. It's gonna stay in the lane. My hands are off the wheel, as you can see here. I'm gonna set the radar at close distance. And this radar has stop and go, interestingly enough. So what that means is that this car, when it detects the car in front of you, it's going to stop and go accordingly with it. So you don't have to use the gas or the brake. Right now it's on cruise, sitting at 44. I have my foot on, neither the gas or the brake right now, and we're on a very curvy road. But I will be able to show you in a moment. See, it just lowered its speed to adjust. It's going down to adjust to the car in front of me. 42, 40, we're staying at 41, okay. So it will match whatever the car in front of me has. And if we get to a red light up here, so the radar cruise is sufficient for changing speeds, but I would not trust it to stop on its own. This car just handles with grace. It is a good driving car. This would be a perfect first car, if you have rich parents. The backup camera is high quality. It's just not that big. I wish it was a little bit bigger. So something I haven't covered yet, the all-wheel drive system in this car is incredibly responsive. I mean, I feel so much more instant torque and more, I guess the best thing I could say, more stability, more grip with this car than I do with my personal car, which is front wheel drive. This car also has paddle shifters, which I really, really want to cover right now. So I'm actually going to put this car into manual shift mode, and I'm going to use the paddle shifters. So here we go. And here we go with the paddle shifters. I'm at 2600, so I'm going to shift. And
It does take the paddle shifter a minute to actually shift, but it is still very fun to use.
this car has been a pretty flawless experience. The only gripe I have with it is the parking brake. When you turn on the car, the parking brake just kind of is on, and you have to hit the gas to turn it off, which is unpleasant. So here, I'm going to show off the brake holding right here. Once I'm hitting the brake at this light, there's going to be a button down here that says brake hold, and if I press it, I have to be going 0 miles an hour to press it. Auto hold. I can take my foot off the brake and it will stay on the brake. All I need to do to turn it off is just press the gas or hit the brake again and turn it off. Alright though, but this is it. That was the driving experience.
So overall, this is an excellent compact car that offers great build quality, a good driving experience, and excellent value for your money. My only issues with the car are the small backup camera display and the parking brake being forcibly turned on with the car. Other than that, I would highly recommend the Mazda 3 to anyone looking for a sporty, stylish, and well-handling compact sedan. I would like to give a huge thank you to the friendly people over at LaFontaine Mazda of Livonia, Michigan for letting me borrow this Mazda 3 to review. I hope you enjoyed the video. If there's anything I could have done better, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching, and this is GTN Official, signing off.